Hey everyone, it's Finn here. This week I wanted to talk a bit about community and yeah. I mean, there's obviously different types of communities, and when I came out and I got on YouTube and sort of immersed myself in that sort of trans community, I found it really beneficial, and I realised that it was something that I'd wanted all my life, was to be a part of a community and to be surrounded by like-minded people and to have sort of just a positive atmosphere really. But I never realised until we started making this channel that community is something that I've always wanted on a deeper level. If I think back to being in art school, one of the reasons I felt so disillusioned by it was because I thought that there was going to be such a sense of community, and there wasn't. And I'm not sure how other people feel about that. Some people are probably more comfortable working independently than I am, but the idea of collaboration is something that I've always found really appealing, but I've never really had. I suppose I've always also really loved team sports because of that sort of sense of joining together. I'm always saying the word camaraderie. Yeah, I like when everyone gets involved, and I like that sort of atmosphere. I like the way that when people come together and they have the same enthusiasm for it as each other, it's like you can do good things. I think that's really special. But yeah, I've always wanted to be a part of a community, and I've never known specifically like what kind of community it would be. So for, it was art school in a sort of art community, an art-based community. Then there was the FTM community on YouTube, and now there's this channel and this project. How do I define community? What is a community to me, or what kind of community would I like to be involved in? I suppose conversation is the big thing for me, and I'm kind of thinking this is my second discussion video that I'm making now, and I think I'm starting to realise that the kind of discussion that I want, or that I like, is a very abstract sort of discussion. I don't know if anything that I ever decide to talk about on this channel is going to be very clear cut. It's not going to be like, hey everyone, it's Finn, and this week we're going to talk about cats. The things that I'm interested in are very, I don't know, maybe I'm just not articulate enough to talk about things. A perfect community for me would be a very relaxed community and just working together. I really like working with people creatively. I like to think that, because when I think about community, I automatically assume that everyone in that community that is with me has the exact same enthusiasm for it and the exact same motivations, and we all share a similar goal. It's just the enthusiasm of it that really appeals to me as well. But my entire life up until this point, I haven't been able to find it. It's not been quite right, and I don't know if maybe the reason for that is because I'm too idealistic, and then when the reality of it comes, you can't really compare. Yeah, because if I think about the online trans community, at least, there's downfalls to it. There's kind of policing within the community, because you have a community, but then you also have all the little parts inside of it. The online trans community is very small anyway, and then when you think about, there's the FTM, the MTF, the genderqueer community, and then within them there's different aspects to it as well. So there can be a lot of fighting and disagreements, and that bugs me. So I think the smaller the sort of subculture or something like that, the more you can break it down, the better. I think I don't mind being in a community that is very, very small. When I say very small, I could be meaning me and one other person. To me, that I could still, I don't know, how would, because then how do you define community? Do you define it by how many people there are? Or is that one of the factors that contributes to defining it? I used to be one of those people that couldn't spend any time on their own. I couldn't be solitary. I always had to be in other people's company. But that was I think that was more of an anxiety thing than anything else. I was scared of being on my own, but I can be on my own now. I think I've gotten over that, but yeah, I think through getting over that I've realised that I just have a genuine attraction to the idea of being surrounded by other people and working towards a goal. What is my goal for being on this channel? I don't even know. Each time I speak about it, I have a different one. I just want to learn from other people. It's all working towards growth. I think I've been I don't think I've got much direction going on with this topic this week, but I think I'm okay with that, and I hope everyone else is. I hope someone contributes. Yeah, let's talk about community. Okay. Bye-bye.
I've been trying to think for this video, like, you know, what does community actually mean for me? And I think that it just means, you know, people coming together and feeling supported is the main thing. Feeling supported, feeling heard, feeling seen as individual people in a larger group, and working together. And no hierarchies. You know. Community is up there on things that I need to get from life. Community and real human connection. And I feel like this is the thing that is fundamentally wrong with Western culture. I grew up having no sense of community at all, and not really knowing much about how to go about creating community or finding community. I struggled a lot in high school, and I convinced my parents to let me leave high school for a while and go to Thailand to volunteer. I was 18 at the time. That was my first real experience of community. So when I was in Thailand, I was staying in this house full of volunteers. We were all volunteering for different things, but we were all living together and cooking for each other and really working together for similar goals. I remember when I had to leave and go back home, I just bawled my eyes out. And it was because I felt like I'd finally found a sense of community and was going to be willingly leaving it behind. Basically, to return home to finish my high school diploma, which to me seemed not nearly as important, but to the rest of the world, it is. All I want is to be doing meaningful work and have a good community of people. The problem is that independence is what's valued. At least in North America, that doesn't really work well to build community. You need to have people working together, and it's kind of drilled in us from a very young age to be self-reliant. Don't rely on anyone else. Don't trust anyone else but yourself. And the other thing is, we are taught not to talk about our needs to other people. That doesn't really work. Certain parts of me were idealistic, because I guess what I was imagining was that I would have one community which was perfect and would meet all of my needs. What I've realized is that I can't get all my needs met by just one community, because the thing is, like, most of us, I think, are just too complex as people to find our ideal community in one group. I guess I realized this when I started going to art school, and I did find a really great sense of community at art school. So, you know, I had this amazing community of people to work with that really satisfied the creative part of me and made me feel like part of a community, but that still doesn't make me feel like I'm supported as a full person, because I'm so I'm so much more than any one thing, one part of myself, you know? Just like all of us trans people on YouTube, you know, we're more than just trans people. And it's great to have a community of trans people, but that's not necessarily going to fulfill every part of you. And sometimes those communities overlap, but I have stopped being idealistic in the sense that I don't think that I can get all of my needs from one group of people. I've kind of started to try to build community around multiple levels of needs, you know, and I feel like my overarching need is the need for community. I'm sure there are lots of different ways to go about building community, but something that Finn mentioned in his video is working together on something. And I think that that's so far, you know, and I've tried many, many different ways of creating community. That seems to be a really great way to bring people together. Like, that's something that I've really realized through my calendar project, and I'm not just bringing this up to self-promote. It has taught me a lot about building community, actually, and that I see that as like the main point of this project. Something else I've realized about community through my calendar project and through various other things is that something that really works to help strengthen community is just to have a constant dialogue about community itself with that community and what your community that you're creating is about, what your goals are, if everyone feels supported by the community, and those kinds of things. I feel like that people don't like to do that because they feel like it's cheesy or too like feels too much like camp or something, but it really does help make everyone feel safe in the community and brings the community together by creating intention behind it, you know. Yeah, I'm really excited to be part of yet another different kind of project, different kind of community with this channel and see where it takes us. What does community mean to you? How do you build community? What makes community stronger? That kind of thing.
When I signed up for this topic of community, I did not expect it to get so meaningful. I don't know why. Because you're like, this group is really about getting to the deeper meaning of things. But, for some reason I was thinking this was going to be an easy topic to cover. The truth is, it's pretty tough, because my experience with community started about 17 years ago. I was about 3 or 4, and my family decided that we needed to be in a church because they wanted community and they wanted churchness. And so we spent 16 years in a Presbyterian church. And then when I came out to my parents and then eventually to the church, it started to get pretty hostile and was clearly not going to be a welcoming environment. And so we left, and afterwards we were excommunicated, but that's really kind of separate. The thing is, I don't feel like I understand community, even though I had that 16 years of supposed community, any better than Finn or Alex said they did growing up. I just left that experience feeling so empty and alone. And I was so mad because it felt like we'd been torn away from something that was just really important. And I think I eventually realized that what that was that feeling of community. But I've come to recognize, I think, that really, you can't have a community and have terms of acceptance within that community and membership requirements, because what that creates is pretense and a lot of falseness in the way people interact. When we left the church and then were excommunicated, nobody stuck their neck out for us, really. We had so many family friends that we developed over the year, close relationships, and everyone just stayed so quiet. And I think that was really telling about the quality of that community. And so I think I would define community as a place where people are willing to get to know you for you without asking you to be someone else for them. And when you get stuck or you get into trouble, they're willing to risk something for you. Because I think what that shows is that within that community, there's a sense that your fates are tied together. When someone is willing to take a risk for you, it's because they feel like that would benefit them. You know, I'm a little bit of an evolutionary cynic here, as you guys are probably figuring out, but that's the way I see it. So I think if people aren't willing to stick their neck out for you, what's the point of tending and developing a relationship with them and trying to be their friend for years and years and years? I've come to the point, I think, within this year, I think, to be able to say, you know, it's really been a gift to have had that experience and gone through that experience, because it has helped me identify what community is to me. And I'm still looking for that. I don't know what it looks like in my life. I'm going to school. I'm moving halfway across the country in a month, and I'm hoping to find people there who will accept me for who I am and won't ask me to agree to their terms or won't ask me to change for them. But who knows? I mean, I think that's a pretty common thing. So, I mean, there's definitely fear there. I think the Working Title Project is a really great example of a community that works pretty well. I think we've seen it work pretty well so far. I mean, we've only been at this a couple weeks, but when I started, I was looking around and I thought, I genuinely like every single person here, and I don't think I've ever felt that about a group of people before that I was connected with. I was like, this is amazing. And, you know, there's ideals and there's reality, but I think that this project is one of the ways in which I've come the closest to having a real community, and I'm really thankful for that. So, thank you guys. Bye. I should note that I am really grateful for my friends and for my family. But of course, as with any community, it seems like so far in my life that I've found, there's always strings attached and there's always demands. So I'm on the lookout and I'm trying to figure out what kind of community there is that will let you be who you are. I really like Finn's notion that you can have a community even with just 2 people, and that could be an awesome community. And I totally think that's so true.
Well, I'm gonna definitely have to agree. This topic evolved since it first started. I watched Finn's contribution and was like, "Oh, this is gonna be nice and easy." I'll talk about how within the last 6 months discovered the trans community on Tumblr and YouTube, and how, you know, discovering this community and the members in it has helped me and allowed me to grow and evolve and figure out parts of myself, accept parts of myself, and become more of who I was meant to be. And while all that is true, this topic has definitely become a lot more thought-provoking than just going through and saying, oh, here's all the different communities I belong to. It really got into the heart of what is community. Just like JFrank was saying, it's amazing this topic suddenly decided to make you think. Because as things kind of went on, it's like, okay, so what's community and what's family and what's friends and what's... Are they all the same? Or do they mean anything to each other? It became a lot more thought-provoking, which was interesting. Because this was going to be simple, but now it isn't. That's a good thing, though. One of the things I've kind of wanted to do as kind of the tail-end person with this topic, before we hand it out to the rest of the universe to discuss, was, I liked that whole idea of family and community. A family is a community, but a community can also be your family. Let's say, we'll use Working Title Project. You're right, it is its own little community that is slowly growing and getting bigger. But it can also be your family. You can, people you can talk to, people you can, who will help you, support you, work through your issues, vice versa. And it's interesting how, but not everyone will attach a label of family to their community. It depends on kind of the type of community and what you're trying to get out of that community. Because there are so many types of communities. I mean, you've got fandoms. I would consider that a community where you have a common goal, a common topic of discussion and whatnot, and that can be an extremely beneficial community for that particular subset. That wouldn't necessarily become a family and get that close-knit type thing going on that other communities could have. It's interesting. I mean, I guess community is more of that whole umbrella topic. The term community covers so much, and then under that you have different levels of, emotional attachment, significance. Because, like I was saying, family, that is a community, but that term attaches so much more emotional significance than a fandom would, or even, MTF or FTM community would. Friends, close friends, would be, possibly another community, because like Finn said, the community doesn't have to be dozens and hundreds of people. It can be just a few, and it can be just as important as a huge community. You have your few very, very close friends that support and mean everything for what you need, for that emotional attachment, for that significance of how you interact with each other. It's definitely an interesting topic, and it is one of those ones where community is kind of an onion almost, where you've got the different layers and levels of what things mean to you, what things mean to other people, how you interact with each other, what your goals are, And communities can have requirements, and communities can have, things that mean if this is something you believe in, you can't be part of this community. All communities are different. They're, as much as we love to think of the future utopian kind of community of from sci-fi and fantasy and things where everyone works together, Damon and Freedom, those books were awesome, by the way. Awesome example of a community that may or may not work in the real world. I don't know. So really, this ended up making me think a lot, and I kind of rambled and went all over the place with it. But that's the thing. Community can mean so many different things to so many different people. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to our viewers out there, I guess, is where this is going now. How do you define community? What does it make you feel? So, yeah. Comment and make video posts and let us know what you think. I know we all would love to hear what this means to all our people out there who have been following now. So, thanks.
Let's go out back and plant a family tree.